What's up, everybody? Rasatiyat here in Singapore. Thank you so much once again for joining me on this Night Owl podcast. Now, I know it's not live like it used to be anymore, but I still do appreciate all of you jumping in and listening and sharing the content and leaving comments and feedback. I really do enjoy the community we're starting to build here. Now, it's not like this is a new concept at all. I've been doing this for a while, but I do like the fact that I was able to concentrate on just creating the content instead of concentrate and build the community first, because I feel like if I had done that backwards, right? If I had only created content or waited for the community to come along, I think I would have quit on myself a little bit earlier. I think I would have been discouraged or disheartened because it took a long time to build a community, to be very honest. And a lot of times people are like, well, where did you get your information from? Where do you get your content from? What kind of credentials do you have? Like, how can you even start a podcast? So I'm kind of glad I did the podcast first. I did it backwards. I'm glad I did that way because there's less pressure almost. It's like I started doing this for me, and then eventually it became something useful for other people. And you know what, to be quite honest, it's been the general process of my journey from the very beginning. If I think about Instagram, I only started Instagram back in 2013. Now, I was like auntie status at that point already. I mean, my kids were, teenagers, right? So at that point, when I created Instagram, it was a means for me to kind of stretch myself a little bit, get outside beyond the borders of my house and my neighborhood, and kind of put myself out there, to see if I could create something that would be worth sharing, or at least make an album of sorts of things that I've accomplished or things that I've created. Because let's think about this. Way back in the beginning in 2011, when I first started Instagram, I think the very, very first post was a sunrise from my driveway. It was a picture of a sunrise from my driveway as I was on my way to work. And then after that, what I did was I started posting pictures of scarves I had knitted and crocheted. And originally I started an Etsy shop because I wanted to find a way to make money, y'all, from home. Honestly, it was the second time I'd been laid off in the US, and obviously I had 5 mouths to feed, including my own, and I didn't know how the hell I was going to make it. Obviously, at the time when people lay you off, it's like a downsizing, right? They do have unemployment insurance, which means you get a little bit of a stipend every week. But even then, in order to collect that paycheck, you have to prove that you're out there trying to find a job. Now, the problem for me at the time was the fact that I have a master's level education, okay? Among other credentials, of course, but that's the highest, certification that I have. Everything else falls underneath the master's level. But because I had that kind of a level, and we were going through a recession and people were having a tough time trying to find jobs, people would immediately look at the credentials that I had, look at the fact that I was looking for a low-level job, something really simple. I was not looking for something major. I was not looking for middle to upper management. I just wanted something simple. I wanted a guaranteed job that I was sure that I was qualified enough to do. But what they would do is they would look at my resume, look at the job I was applying for, and be like, nope, we're not hiring her because she's going to get bored real fast and she's going to quit on us. This is like a placeholder job is what they were assuming. And honestly, what I wanted was a no-brainer job, something I didn't have to think a lot about, something I could guarantee that I'd finish my work by the end of the shift and I could actually leave on time and come back and take care of the kids. So that was the difficulty at the time. And I was trying to find a way to make money from home, just little bits of extra cash if I could, so that I wouldn't be at the mercy of somebody determining whether or not I earned my paycheck or not. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like that at all. So I tried a couple different things, and back in the beginning with Instagram, I just started off posting for me. And originally, before I left my husband, it was just pictures of me. No, it wasn't pictures of me. I didn't post any pictures of me because I was embarrassed about the way I looked. I had just had the baby, and I was losing weight really fast. Not a good way either. I was starting to look really bony. Okay. So I didn't post pictures of myself, but I did post pictures of the arts and crafts that I was creating that I thought would be of a level that I might be able to sell. I made wreaths like the kinds you hang on doors. I mean, in the US, it was a thing to have a door hanger almost that kind of represented the season you were in. So there was stuff for Halloween, there was stuff for fall, Christmas, all those things. And I did as much as I could to create with whatever I could find around the house. I wasn't trying to spend money to make money, right? I was trying to do it as simple as possible. And then when I wasn't doing that, I started the CG method with my stepdaughter's hair, and I started posting what I was doing with her hair to show that, we're working through it. We're transitioning her hair, and what she was used to having done was get her hair braided all the time. And this time we were trying to do at-home styles that were a little less painful because the way they do braids and cornrows is very, very tight. And that first day, it's nothing but a migraine day. It's kind of like a whole wash. Once you go to the salon, get your hair done, it takes about 3 hours where you sit in the chair. And then when you get home, you can't think straight. There's nothing you're going to be able to do besides eat and possibly try and sleep it off. So it was one of those things that I was trying to ease her out of that, because as tight as they pulled it, it was pulling her hairline back. It was causing bald spots in certain directions. So I was doing the best I could. So that was the journey originally. It was just an album online to kind of keep track of what I was doing, what we were trying, what we were proud of. Eventually, I got into Amway, and I was trying to see if I could sell the products from home. And I thought, you know what, my dad did this back when it was Quickstar. It has potential. I've been using the products forever. The products do work. It's just a matter of how do you make money with the products. And I tried for a little while. I did a couple of parties and stuff. We consumed the products, obviously, because if I don't consume the products, then how do I know that they work, right? Then the review wouldn't be genuine. So I did all of that, and I added on the products that I was using, and then eventually it transitioned into quotes that helped me get through the day, because I was really going through a postpartum situation. It wasn't quite as bad as some people have been through. I'm very grateful that I found a way to manage. Not everyone gets that chance, but for me, I was trying really, really hard to pull myself through the depression that was ensuing, and then the fact that I was not really getting along with my husband at the time. So it became a pin board for all of the quotes I wanted to use that would help me feel empowered enough to get through the day. And then eventually, once I finally left him and came back home, it slowly began to be an album kind of detailing the things that I was counting as small celebrations, small wins in my life. So then it was, pictures of baby girl as she started to read and walk and stuff like that. And then, arts and crafts, homeschooling stuff that I was doing for her, because that was my dream. I wanted to homeschool her really badly, and I did that. And then, of course, I started going back to work. So going back to work made me feel like I'd kind of gained my self-confidence and my worth back a little bit. And so I was able to start showing up like I was proud of myself and dressing the part. Taking the effort to actually get dressed up was really big for me, because for the longest time I was working from home and it was nothing but sweatpants and pajamas, and I was happy with that, but that also meant that I wasn't really taking care of myself, and I didn't really feel all that great about myself either. So slowly, from the very beginning of everything that I've ever started when it comes to social media, it started off for me and then eventually kind of grew into something that I could share with everybody else. And eventually, because people started commenting and asking me questions, I decided, you know what? Let me start working on myself so that I'm in a position that I could actually answer some question for some of these people if they decide to come turn to me and ask for advice. And then eventually, the coaching thing came about. But that's basically where I started. So with the podcast, even, I didn't know what I was going to say from day to day, but I did have a concept, and it was fashioned after Rev Run and his little bathtub, his musings about the whole day and how things happened. But from there, it kind of just evolved and took on a shape of its own. And some days I am still recounting what I've done with my day and how I'm managing my time and what I'm doing to push my business forward. Then some days it's lessons in life and things that I've suddenly realized, like another angle to something, another facet to life that I can actually share with you as a gem or a nugget, something that you can take off and implement in your own life. So it's been evolving, you guys, and I really am grateful for the kind of journey that I've been on so far. And of course, it's going to evolve further. I have no idea which direction it's going to go. I know back in January, I set the goal for myself. I'm going to hit 1,000 podcast episodes by the end of the year, and I'm well on track for that. I did not set a goal about creating a group course, but that's also happened now. I implemented July 1st, and that's going pretty well so far. And yeah, it's just little things, little nudges from the universe as I go along. And sometimes I get the nudges over and over again. I keep ignoring them or pressing the snooze button on them. And sometimes it becomes so loud that I have no choice but to answer the call. And it's helping me. It's actually pushing me forward. It's giving me a chance to actually step into the role that I was being groomed for all along. I'm seeing that now. Everything that I've ever done, whether I realized it at the time or not, was a skill I picked up to be able to build this business myself. Going back and looking, right, all the classes, all of the job descriptions, all the skill sets that I had to polish up, I mean, I went to school for instructional technology back in 2003. But if you look at the technology and the platforms that are available now to be able to teach online, it's nothing like what we had when we were studying. It's nothing like that at all. But I've found since that there are several concepts that I think that are still not being implemented or being used very well. So I'm using that. I'm taking advantage of the things that I see a gap in. I'm trying really hard to make sure that I present a different model of learning, because in schools, you're expected to regurgitate the information, and not necessarily in your own words. You need to do it word for word in Singapore, or they don't count it as right. Whereas where I come from, the kind of schooling I want to put my child through, I want to make sure that they understand the concept. I don't want you to read the book and then consider yourself done. I want you to read the book. I want you to take notes in the margins. I want you to try and implement as you go, which is why it's really hard for me to do audiobooks. I mean, it's helpful. I can do it without actually turning pages while I cook or something like that. It's very, very multitasking kind of deal. But sometimes I gotta pause. I gotta sit down. I gotta doodle. I gotta note. I gotta journal something, because I have to wrap my head around the concept I just heard. I know it's an aha moment. I know it's something really significant here, and I got to kind of like pick it apart. And a lot of times recently, that's what I use the podcast for. I pick it apart in my own brain and I find out, hey, would it fit in my life? Am I doing this already? Do I see examples of it around my clients, around my friends, family? Is this something that I could teach because it's enough insight that could change someone's perspective? And when you change someone's perspective, their ideas of what's possible and what's possible and is not possible kind of changes. It kind of expands. And that's the kind of transformation I'm looking for in my clients. I want them to have that aha moment where they're like, oh shit, I didn't think I could do that, and now it looks so much more possible. Let me try. So that's the whole point. And it's funny because I'm pretty sure I started this podcast with another idea in mind, and it's kind of evolved in a different direction, but I'm going to go with it because you know what? I need you guys to see where I started and where I ended up. And sometimes you have this goal, and it's fine if it's like a vague goal, but you're going to have to put the details in on the way there. Like I said, I wanted to do 1,000 podcasts. It's going to be more than 365 for this year, and I'm well on my way, but I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about, and I wasn't sure if I had enough material that I could consume and think about so that I could actually teach you guys anything. But guess what? With social media at my fingertips, with so many people talking about, gosh, different social issues. I mean, Racial Harmony Day, whether it's relevant or not, whether it's effective or not, whether it's just, a band-aid for a bigger problem for a moment, versus Black Lives Matter, representation in Singapore, how we're allowed to speak about the problems or whether we're not allowed to speak about the problems. Like all of those things come into play. And because it's so charged, it's so emotionally charged, I get lots and lots of perspectives. And with all those perspectives, I have the opportunity almost to kind of sit back and digest it a little bit before I go weigh in. And it's not to say that I'm pausing and I'm waiting to stay out of situations. I will step up and I will speak on it, but I want to make sure I'm not angry when I do. I think it's really important that I do that as well. I also know that sometimes I need to be angry for the message to be heard, but for the most part, I'm trying really hard not to be angry. I'm trying to see all the way around the situation so I can make sure that everyone gets heard, everyone is represented, and then people can find compassion because I've presented a perspective that maybe you didn't consider before. So that's why I wait a lot of times to hear out everyone and their stories, their point of view, their experiences, things that they've seen themselves before I weigh in on stuff. But I'm loving my journey so far because it's not planned to the T. There is room for grace and growth and mistakes. And I like that because I don't know what's going to work and I don't know what will work. I know that I can't possibly hope to be an influencer like, I don't know, Mastin Kipp or Tony Robbins, because their journey is organic to their life experience. And so in that regard, I know the kind of reach I would like, but I also know that it's not about the number of followers that I have, and it's not about the number of views I get. It's more about the amount of engagement I get on each post. How many people feel comfortable enough to write into me? And maybe they don't write on the post itself. Maybe they're too shy to write on the post. I get tons of DMs. I do. Some of them are irrelevant. Some of them are friendly chats that should be on WhatsApp instead. But there is an increase in the amount of people who actually connect with me, speak with me, write to me, ask me questions. And it's from there that I draw some inspiration as well. So honestly, I'm not gonna knock I'm not gonna knock the journey, you guys. I have no idea how I'm gonna get to where I'm going, and there will be speed bumps, there will be detours, there will be like traffic lights where I gotta stop for a second and wait for something to pass so I can go forward again later with unhindered path or whatever. But for the most part, I'm just allowing, and that took a long time as well. I had this clear picture of what I thought success was going to look like. And now for me, I feel successful. I feel fulfilled. And it doesn't look like anyone else's story. And that's part of the reason why I share stories as well. It's part of the reason why I still go out and I find people that I think are inspiring. They have a very unique story. They're doing it for a specific reason that I think is beautiful and the rest of the world should know, because there is no small dream. Everyone's dream matters. Everyone's dream is big to them. And I want to make sure you have as much encouragement, as much support as possible, so that you stop worrying about how you're going to get there and start putting one foot in front of the other. And that's all that matters to me, honestly. So what started off as a journal for me, what started off as my way of kind of picking apart a concept and making sure I understand it well, what started off as an album for me to document, my journey and celebrate small wins, became something totally different. And you know what? I don't regret a single minute. I don't. I love it, every minute of it. So you guys, I would love to know what it is you're doing for yourself, what your dreams are, where you're going with, your dream. What are you trying to accomplish here? And if there's any way that I could maybe help out, let me know, because I am here to support. I am here to encourage, and I'm the queen of cheap. I'm not going to spend money if I can help it. And if there's a way that I can encourage you, or at least point you to another avenue or another platform that might be cheaper or more effective, I would be happy to share. So please, by all means, contact me, reach out. But in the meantime, make sure you're putting one step in front of the other towards your goals every time, every day, a little bit. All right? All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.